You're tuned in to The Keitra Show and listening to SOB, Style of Business, the podcast with your host, Keitra. We aim to highlight the ongoing trek of entrepreneurs and business owners from around the globe, featuring stories that recount their struggles, experiences, and inevitable road to success and self-fulfillment. Welcome to SOB.
Are you ready to stop playing around and reignite your creativity? Check out my Vision Alignment Blueprint Guide, currently available on my website at keitra.com, or you can download it for free at Gumroad.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Thanks so much for tuning in and checking out another dope episode of SOB, Style of Business, the podcast. This is your host, Keitra, and today we are back with another inspirational episode. And I'm talking to my girl, Jameka, who is the founder of CROWNTHEM, which is a wonderful hip-hop and rap culture archive, so to speak. So we've had Jameka on the show before. She's given us a lot of information on what inspired her to get this off the ground and go on one of her passion projects that she has managed to launch into something that is really catapulting her career in this specific industry to the next level. So I'll let Jameka drop that introduction and we're going to keep the ball rolling from there.
What's up? I'm Jameka with CROWNTHEM. Thank you, Keitra, for having me on here. And yeah, so I have a CROWNTHEM. CROWNTHEM is a platform, hip-hop platform, mostly transitioning into an archive now where I record and keep people up to date with contemporary hip-hop acts and hubs within the United States and abroad.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I forgot that's the key word that I missed in the intro was contemporary. So I know you do a lot of documenting and just contemporary hip hop and rap, and so it's a difference. But let's start with the people who may not have caught that first interview when you were on. I think it was it last year, maybe a couple of years ago. I can't remember, but just give us like a brief intro on like what sparked your passion for hip hop and rap culture, and then we'll talk about some of the things that inspired you to create a platform like CROWNTHEM.
Yeah, so I always say that like hip hop really found me when I was in my mom's belly because she was a hip hop head, and everything that I remember about her, R.I.P. she's gone now. She would always put me onto different music, especially hip hop. And in addition to that, my father, I didn't get to grow up with him, but when I did meet him, he would always send me these video mixes of different hip hop and rap and cassette mixes. They kind of like, put like a different type of, I was raised on more so like rock and things like that. So when my biological parents actually put me onto hip hop and rap, my musical curiosity just kind of blossomed from there. Oh, yeah. And it kind of turned into this, when I'd be in school and we had iPods and MP3 players, like all my friends or even people who weren't my friends, they would give me their iPods and MP3 players at the end of the day and be like, hey, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. And I would just load up their iPods with music that I had downloaded and found across different mixtape sites. And it kind of just went from there to a point to where I was looking for work after I finished my master's program about 10 years ago. Almost 10 years ago. And I just needed an outlet for all the cool music I was finding and listening to. So CROWNTHEM really started as like a Twitter page where I just didn't want to flood my followers, my regular personal followers with like all this hip hop stuff. So I was like, fine, I'll just create a page that's just dedicated to this. And then from there, it just kind of turned into more like, oh, I want to write about it. Oh, actually, let me create a site so all of my stuff is on my own like domain type thing. And here we are about 6 years later since creating that. And, I've had writers for me. Oh, wow. Been doing a lot of different things. Lately, I've created a new vlog on YouTube that kind of walks people through the process of how I find this different music on different sites.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I was most interested in when we initially spoke was, how is she finding these artists? Like, I know there's a lot of different independent music sites. And then also with Spotify, just kind of within the last, 8 or 9 years, really pushing a lot of the independent acts. But even beyond that, like there's a lot of smaller hubs.
Bandcamp is a major one.
Yeah. Yeah, Oh, yeah, I forgot about Bandcamp, and I think it's a couple of them that have been rebranded too. I can't remember the name, but I know Bandcamp. No, SoundCloud. That's what it was. That's who I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, SoundCloud for sure. So you basically when you crown them was just pretty much like initially something that you were passionate about, like as far as like sharing the music. You didn't even have any intentions of turning it into like an official music archive, so to speak. But that's amazing how like when you find people that are interested in some of the same things and it just kind of turns into something that's bigger. Tell us a little bit about your specific well, you know what, not the specific process. I guess the question would be this, like what excites you the most? What motivates you to like document contemporary hip hop and R&B? Because you could have, I know you were inspired by your parents, sharing that music with you, but like for you to actually spend time to really go into the process of breaking down the lyrics and visuals and doing all the back end work, like what excites you the most?
Well, I think, what really like motivated me to get deeper into it was I was working in an actual archive at HBCU when I lived in Memphis a couple years ago. And just like learning the different process, like just seeing how like Black culture was protected in like the different ways that people were annotating like these photos and like these speeches and things like that. It just made me think about what I was doing in a different way. Like, how could I elevate what I'm doing beyond a tweet, beyond, you know what I'm saying? Just beyond sharing an album that like people could later look back on, or even day to day look on and see what's going on. So it was like beyond the consumption, beyond the enjoyment of what beyond the enjoyment of my engagement with the art form, like I just had to I guess evolve in a way that I wanted to make it into an archive to where I don't know any contemporary archives besides like places like that used to be like live mixtapes and Dat Piff and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess that's what motivates me, was working in an archive and seeing how like history from the 1800s about Black culture has been preserved, and we're in a digital era where it's probably the easiest era where we can archive and make sure our arts are protected and also like celebrated. So I think that is what motivates me the most, is just wanting to preserve what we've created and what we continue to create. Because a lot of times when it's not preserved by us, it's not preserved,
Exactly. And that's what misrepresentation and all everything can kind of go haywire. No, that's interesting. I love the fact that you're doing that, or that the fact that anybody takes the time to archive that sort of historical piece of history that's important to Black culture. So we definitely appreciate your work with that. And I want to talk about, like the inside of Crown Them. Like, give us a inside look as far as to like who would the platform be designed for? Because you have a lot of hip hop heads and people who listen to rap music and enjoy it. But what kind of I would probably say, like, for a subscriber or somebody who's interested in this, what kind of experience could they expect? And like, is it designed for a specific type of person? Like if that makes sense as a question. I'm trying to.
Hey, I understand where you're going with that. I guess for me, I think that of course it's always beyond my perception what actually really happens, but people who aren't afraid to like dig and sift through things, like people who aren't extremely like judgmental of what they might hear, but just want to celebrate it for what it is. I think as a subscriber, especially coming into 2026, there will be like more depth in me. Actually, I think I've kind of hidden behind Crown Them a bit and not really given my subscribers like a lot of my actual inside look of things and like honest opinion, but just more so just celebration. And I think that in 2026, like people can expect for me to use my actual personal voice more on the platform and not only highlight artists, but really talk about trends and different statistics that I'm coming across while doing this archival work. So I guess it's people who maybe want a different source of info about what's really going on in contemporary and underground hip hop, outside of like what is being pushed right now. more personal interviews and things like that.
Yeah, definitely the personal interviews. Like I've seen some of the things. Like I know you just were talking about earlier how you launched the blog, and then you have the YouTube component. But like the interviews would be, that's going to be a huge part of it, because it's interesting to get the creative perspective from the person that's behind the music. Like we never know their process, and just to kind of interview them and talk to them, I think that's going to be huge, especially for CROWNTHEM. Like so, I'm looking forward to seeing it. You said next year you're gonna start getting out there and doing more. So
yes. And there's 3 interviews that will drop by the end of this year. But I think also for subscribers, they can also anticipate some like actual print items. Like I'm working on a book and things like that kind of gives a little deeper inside look.
Yeah, that's gonna be dope, and that's a perfect segue into this question, because I was just about to ask you, like, how are you evolving the archive and just the subscription, and really I was gonna add to that the overall experience, but now you're mentioning the book, which now I'm gonna ask Jameka. Can you give us just a little bit of overview of what the book entails, or is that top secret for now?
It's I'm trying not to say really too much about it, but I will say that it will like I've written probably over 1,000 reviews this year, and I just haven't really published anything because I just I don't know. There's something that has been telling me to just put it in a different form. Mm-hmm. And so it'll probably look like all of these writings that I've done about just the craft, about these artists, about interviews, about different platforms, just like really my perspectives all put into this book, as well as like a huge artist index. But that's about what I can say about it right now. It's been quite the process working on it. But yeah, that's about where it's heading. But also, in addition to that, like I'm also reconfiguring my site so that these working documents that I have that hold all these new contemporary artist projects and things like that will actually be visible on the site for different subscribers, depending on the tier and things like that. So it's just like technical, and then just like, I don't know, it's challenging because I get like, I try not to doubt myself too much, because I feel like sometimes when we evolve, we're just like, oh, what are we doing? Like, oh, this is a dud type thing. Yeah. But it's just like I'm learning to just to really trust like these different phases that it's going through.
Yeah. No,
and just allowing it to evolve.
Yeah. I mean, we can always redirect if we feel like that direction is not the course which, we thought we should have took. So that's the good part about it, is like there's no way you can mess this up. This is your own thing. You cannot mess it up at all.
That's a good point.
Yep. And I want to talk about like the experience that you have had, or your perspective, just working through CROWNTHEM, building it up to where it is now. Like, how has that influenced you, like culturally, musically, and also within storytelling in itself? Because there's, you're telling a story with these projects. So, tell us a little bit about how that has influenced you.
I think honestly, like just doing this type of work as a passion project has just made me think more deeply about what has been lost and undocumented through our different cultures throughout history. And I think that's just the major thing that I just really think about, is that's when it comes to storytelling and culture and things like that. Like, not saying that like these contemporary artists align has nothing to do with it, but like when I think about like slave narratives and things like that, and how only certain people's stories were published, only certain people's stories were preserved, but there were so many more stories out there of what life was really like for people in different time periods. I think that how so many artists, like I just released one of my release radars today that had over 700 projects in it from just October alone.
Oh, wow.
And it just makes me think about how there's all these different voices and stories and perspectives on what our world is like right now and what people are going through and dealing with, that probably haven't really been explored ever before. I think that Yeah, so I think that I think of it in that way. Like a lot of people will say, oh, there's too much music being put out, and people are like, oh, it's their attention spans or whatever it is. The fact is that people are expressing themselves and expressing their experiences in this world. And I think that to have it documented in this way is unlike any other time period we've been in.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's the most important thing is that, they're creating it and putting it out. And I was going to ask, like, I know that your job is to curate, so to speak, some of the music that you find and share, but is there a process as to which, like, maybe an independent artist can submit? Do you guys take submissions and, just kind of do review requests?
Yeah, there's been a few. It's not guaranteed that I will review their things. Like, I still have a few writers that with review, when people send in submissions or whatever, if I have time, I'll get to it, but my priority isn't necessary. Like, I already have everything planned out of what I want to do from the week to week, and what albums I want to visit and what I need to write about and all these different things. So sometimes it's hard when submissions come in for me. Sometimes I will go through the submissions and listen. I don't always listen, but I have 3 or 4 different other independent sites that I'll forward that stuff to see if they'll want to cover it or whatever. And I'll let the artist know. But personally for me, I do not really go through submissions right now. It takes me out of where I'm at right now to be able to accomplish what I want to accomplish. But I don't turn down submissions either. I always have people to send them to.
Exactly. Yeah. So you still try to be like a resource, even though that's not really your specific thing, so to speak,
Right. Like, an artist would really have to send a project to me probably 2 months ahead before it releases for me to actually have time to maybe get to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And even then it's a question mark, right? Because I know your schedule is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So I get it. So let's talk about it's obvious just by what we just previously discussed. To me, it's obvious what makes CROWNTHEM unique. But just for the sake of the conversation, tell us from the founder's perspective, what makes CROWNTHEM unique, and how do you ensure that this platform, or I'm gonna just put it like this project that you're building continues to honor and elevate contemporary hip hop artists and rap artists as well?
Yeah, I think it's unique in many ways, but the one way that really sticks out to me is just how it continues to evolve every year. Yeah. Like, how it's able to kind of shed its skin and allow for new growth, and not being afraid of the change and not being afraid of the down moments that, I think social media and the use of using Twitter and Instagram and things like that can kind of jade your perspective on what you're doing and who's really paying attention.
Yeah.
And I think that having to let that aspect go and not worry about that and really rely on my website and the subscribers who are subscribed to that, to really keep it in tune like that. I think that's one of the ways that makes it unique, is it's not super reliant on social media like a lot of platforms. A lot of platforms don't even have their own website. A lot of platforms really just rely on these social media platforms. And what happens to your work when those things disappear? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think it's unique in that way, but it's also, I feel like some of my peers that I started doing this journey with that had their own independent hip hop platforms as well, kind of gave up at this point because of how much maybe they didn't know how to evolve, or maybe they didn't want to evolve, or maybe they were afraid of their lack of social engagement. And I think that you have to be comfortable, even in life. You have to be comfortable with the phases of it all. Some highs aren't going to be as high as the others. You're going to go through lows and you're going to go through mid-ground, all these different things. And you really just have to stay steady and focused on your vision and your goal, and also allowing those things to change.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. No, I couldn't agree with you more. And I want to ask you to speak a little bit more on the what you just said. You just mentioned something about how, maybe they have allowed fear or just, just whatever it was to come in and take over. I know you've dealt with that, like moments of fear or doubt or discouragement.
Oh
How
yeah.
did yeah, how did you, you keep going, you keep going through it. You hear all these motivational things about, oh, just don't stop this and that. But that really does take a lot of persistence, consistency, dedication, and everything else you can think of. But like, what are some of the things that you did to overcome that? And what, just give us like an overview of like your experience with that while building
Yeah.
Crown Them.
And I think like part of that is people think that giving up means different things for everybody. For me, I used to see like me not posting something every day as giving up, as like letting it drop. But it's just like the fact of the matter is, it's like I think about this stuff every day, and every day, whether I'm posting or reviewing or whatever, I'm working on the archive just because it's like became routine to me. So it's just like I think the most important thing is when you're working to a goal, there has to be something solid that you continue to work on every day, even if it's the smallest thing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that has kept me from giving up is because hip hop has always found me in my lowest points. Like, okay, I don't have a job right now or whatever. Okay, like my family member just passed away, or like all these different things that I'm going through, like medical hard times or whatever it is, whatever like thing we perceive as being like, kind of at a low point in our life, it's always been hip hop there to lift me up. So it's just like, I don't think I could ever like give up on it because it's just so part of what I do at the same time.
Yeah.
And so I think just like I said, how I haven't been posting on socials as much and things like that. And that's just like, people can see that as me. Maybe the social media realm that follows me sees that as me giving up. But like maybe also at the same time, then I know that I'm still working on my writings. I'm still doing the book. Like I'm still doing all these different things to change what I'm doing, to reignite a different type of passion, that's outside of like what it used to be. I just feel like there's no other option. I can't imagine giving up on this.
Exactly.
I can't. I don't know whatever form it turns into. I just can't imagine giving up.
Exactly. Yeah, no, this is going to get done. Like you just got to lay the foundation of, this is going to get done one way or the other, so yeah, I love to hear that. Words of encouragement for the listeners. So we just want a couple of words of inspiration or encouragement for anyone who needs that extra push to move forward with their creative ideas, goals, visions, dreams, anything that you can offer from your own insight.
When we were first starting this conversation, this Octavia Butler quote came into my mind. And it's basically like, there is nothing new under the sun, but there are new suns. So just kind of like this idea of you can, like, maybe everything has been done in the realm, in some realms, right? But like, you can always create a new spark to start something else. Like, you can always create your own new world, your own new perspective, your own new way of living. And I've had to do that a lot lately. There's been like a lot of changes. And so I think it's just like keeping this perspective, like, if it's not working, you don't necessarily have to fix it. You can just change it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there. So that is news that we can all use. Jameka, drop the social media handles. And also, like, if anybody wants to go and subscribe and sign up for a tier or just learn more information about this beautiful project that you've built, leave the website and just any other contact information you want to share.
Yeah, so across all socials, it's the same. CROWNTHEM, ENT. And that's the same for the website too, www.crownthement.com. So pretty simple to find. When you go to the website, you can subscribe. But also, if you download the app from the website, then you should be able to see like the available tiers right now. I think there's just one, but there will be more coming with more detailed instruction, more details of what each of them are as well.
All right, sounds good. And when that book drops, we definitely gonna have you back to dissect that as well. So y'all stay tuned for part 3. Jameka, we appreciate you being on as always, and definitely looking forward to having you back soon.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for hanging out with us here on SOB. We hope this episode has been resourceful. If you'd like to check out the latest articles or follow Keetra's website updates, just log on to Keetra.com or follow her on Twitter at KEETRIA.